Hello everyone and welcome to this video on the Python programming language. So in this video I will attempt to compute how much you need in investments to retire. Now everyone's wants or needs are different, so this will be a robust program to make retirement calculations dependent on those wants or needs. Now before we begin, if you like the videos on this channel, then be sure to click that subscribe and like button, and to be notified about new videos from this channel, hit that bell notification. Also, the material in this video is purely educational and should not be taken as professional investment advice, as I am not a financial advisor, so invest at your own discretion. Now, I'm currently on Google's website. It's called colab.research.google.com, and I'm on it because it makes it really easy to start programming in Python. So all you have to do is go to this website and then log in using your Google account and get started writing your Python code. So to get started writing this code, go ahead and click on File, then click on New Notebook, where a new tab will open up for you, and then eventually a new cell. And in this cell, I'm going to put in some comments. I'm going to put in a description about the program. So I'm just going to put this program calculates how much you need to retire. All right, next I'm going to create a new cell by clicking that code button in the top left. And now I'm going to create a function of options for the user so that we can calculate either the interest rate needed or principal needed or income amount wanted. So for example, I may want to make, let's just say 50,000 USD, United States dollars, from my principal amount that I don't have yet, but I know that I can get an interest rate of 40% from some investment. So now I want to calculate, well, how much do I need in that principal amount to get 50,000 USD with this interest amount? Okay. Or maybe I want to calculate the interest amount that I need because I have a specific principal and I want to make 50,000 USD from that principal. So I want to find some investment that will return, some interest rate, and I want to know what that interest rate is that will allow me to have that 50,000 USD, again given my principal. So these are the options that we're going to put here, and this program should calculate all these different options for the user. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to call this function options. Okay, and it's just going to be a few print statements. So this will be option 1, where we calculate the income amount wanted, or the income amount, yeah, I put wanted, given some average yearly interest rate and your current principal. So basically here we're trying to make sure I spelled calculate correctly. All right, so basically this first option will calculate how much income we can get or make given some yearly interest and some principal. Okay. All right, so let's print another option. Option number 2, where we calculate the principal. So we're going to calculate the principal you need given some average yearly interest rate to make some income. I'm going to put X income amount per year. Okay, so now we're going to calculate this principal that we need given some yearly interest rate and given some income amount per year. Okay, and then the third and final option, option number 3, is to calculate the average yearly interest rate that you need given some principal amount to make some income amount. I'm going to put X there per year. All right, and then we're going to get the user's input. So I'm going to create a variable called choice and set it equal to integer input. Okay, and then I will return choice. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this cell by clicking this button here to the left. And let's give it some time. All right, looks like everything's good. Let's create a new cell. And now in this cell, we're going to create a function to return an answer to those chosen options, right? So, or we're going to actually create a function to calculate the options. All right, so let's just call this function, let's call it calculations. I don't know. I think that's good enough. All right, so it's going to take in some choice. So it's going to take in a option choice from one of those three options. So it's going to be either 1, 2, or 3. All right, and if the choice is equal to 1, then we know that we need to calculate the income amount. So we need to get the principal and the interest rate from the user. So let's create a variable called principal, and let's set it equal to float input. What is your principal amount? Okay, and so all I'm doing here is I'm getting some input here after asking this question, and I am then converting that answer to a float. All right. So next I need to get the interest rate. So I'm going to create a variable called interest rate, and I'm going to set it equal to input. What is your average yearly interest rate? Percentage. So I want the percentage form, and I put a little percent sign there, and then a question mark. Okay, and now with the given information, we can calculate the amount, but actually I need to cast this as a float first. So let's make this a float once we get that interest rate input. Okay, so now we can calculate the amount that we would make every single year given some principal and interest rate here that we inputted. So amount is equal to principal times the interest rate divided by 100, and that should be it. And I actually don't even need these parentheses here. Okay, so that's good. Next we'll do a print statement here, and we'll say you would make on average some amount per year. Okay, all right, so next just put else if choice equals 2, then we need to calculate the principal. Okay, so we need to get the interest rate, and I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to copy it using Control C. I'm just going to come down here and paste it using Control V. All right, so we'll get the interest rate. Then we need to get the amount that the user wants to make. So I'm going to set amount equal to float input. What is the amount per year that you want to make from that interest rate? Okay. And now that we have that amount, we can calculate the principal. So the principal will be equal to the amount divided by the interest rate divided by 100. Okay, and now we can put a print statement, and we can say you would need a principal of about, and then we'll put in the principal here, and then I'll put to have an annual income of some amount by taking out some interest. Let me go back over here, taking out some interest rate, and I'm going to put a percent sign here. I'm going to put interest by taking out blank percent interest yearly from your principal. All right, that's kind of a lot, but that should do it. Okay, else if the choice equals 3, then we need to calculate the average yearly interest rate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask, what is your principal amount? So I'm just going to come up here and copy that using Control C, then come down here and paste it using Control V. And I'm going to ask the amount. So I'm just going to come here, and I'm going to copy this using Control C, and I'm going to paste it here using Control V. So what is the amount per year that you want to make from that interest rate? Or what is the amount per year that you want to make from, I'll put the interest rate. And now let's calculate the interest rate. So now the interest rate will be equal to the amount divided by the principal times 100. Okay, and then I'm going to print, you would need to find an asset or investment that gives an average of some interest rate, and then I put a percent sign here, give an average of, let's say, 5% interest per year. All right. Okay, so I think that looks good, and let's put one more statement here. Let's put an else statement, print, please choose a number from 1 to 3. All right. Okay, so let's run this, and let's create a new cell. And now let's run the program. So while true, I'm going to call this function. So that's calculations, and I'm going to input options here. And then I'm going to print a new line every single time we are done making some calculation. All right, so let's go ahead and let's run this. Okay, so we have our 3 options. Let's go ahead and calculate the principal you need given some average yearly interest rate to make some income. So we're going to choose option 2. So what is your average? And like I misspelled average here, and I'll correct that. Let's go ahead and correct that now. What is your average? There we go, yearly interest rate. So let me just stop that, run this again, put in number 2. Okay, so what is your that's here too, that's in number 2. So average there, and okay, I think that's it. All right, so let's run this again. Actually, let's stop this. Now let's run this one again. Okay, so we're good. Let's run this again. Let's choose option 2. Okay, so what is your average yearly interest rate percentage? Let's say it is 10%, or let's go with 7%. And then what is the amount per year that you want to make from that interest rate? Well, I want to make $40,000 per year. So now it says you would need a principal of about, what does that look like? $571,428 to have an annual income of 40,000 by taking out 7% interest yearly from your principal. And actually, it's not from your principal; it's from your investment. So let's go back up here. Go to number 2. So percent interest yearly from your, we'll say investments, right? Okay, so let's run that and let's run this. Okay, so now I'm just going to choose 2 again. We're going to choose, we're going to put in 7%. We're going to put in 30,000. Okay, and so now I just need a principal of 428,000 invested. Okay, so there we go. All right, so I'm going to change one more thing. I do apologize for this. All right, so I'm going to say here you would need a principal amount of whatever, blah, 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 in investments to have an annual income. All right, so that looks good. Let's run this. Let's run this again. Let's choose option 1. So what is your principal amount? Let's say that I have right now, I have $60,000 invested. So what is your average yearly interest rate percentage right now? And this investment, I'm making, let's just say 10% per year. So you would make on average $6,000 per year, and that's not livable in the U.S. All right, so I would need to definitely find a investment that gives a higher interest rate, or I will need to make this invested principal amount higher. Okay, so let's try option number 3. So we're going to calculate the average yearly interest. So what is your principal amount? Well, right now, let's say I have 60,000 invested. Then what is the amount per year that you want to make from the interest rate? Well, I have 60,000 invested, so I just want to make, we'll just say 1,000, or let's actually say 6,000, right? So this tells me you would need to find an asset or investment that gives an average of 10% interest per year, and we knew that from our previous option here, our previous calculation. So that's kind of cool, right? Now let's talk a little bit about the 4% rule. The 4% rule is the rate that you can spend your money without running out of money, although experts are divided on whether it's safe or not. And a study by Trinity University showed that the 3% rule is much safer and works 100% of the time. So if you want to only withdraw 4% from your investments and make, let's say, 50,000 USD in income, then we can simply put in uh, option number 2, right? Because we have our interest rate 4%, and then the amount per year that we want to make is 50,000. So this tells me that I would need about $1.25 million in investments to have an annual income of $50,000 by taking out 4% interest yearly from my investments. And again, this is the 4% rule, and it works a lot of the time, but the Trinity study has shown that it doesn't work all of the time. And so it may be better to use the 3% rule here. All right. Well, that's the end of the video. If you would like to start an investment portfolio of your own, then click on the link below and get 2 free stocks valued up to $1,850 on WeBull when you deposit $100 or more. Thanks for watching, and thank you to the supporters supporting this channel on patreon.com. I hope you all have a wonderful, fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.